So like I said, the sets are, or the Venn diagrams today are the visualization of sets. So most of us know how to read a Venn diagram, but just real quick. So here's like the sets, and I'm probably just going to work through problems today. I'll do a little bit on drawing if I need to, but so here's satire and fantasy, two different like writing genres, literary genres. You have the satire circle and the fantasy circle. So this Brian and Yoko right here in the middle is the intersection. So remember the upside down U symbol that we had? That's the intersection. It means and. These are the people that like satire and fantasy. And then the or is the U symbol, the union, and that means or, and you are going to do what they, you combine them. So it's anything in any circles, basically everything inside the circles. The and is what they share, and the or brings them together, okay? And then almost all of these Venn diagrams have a rectangle to signify the people that are outside the circles. So these don't like satire or fantasy. So when it says how many students like satire, you are going to count all three. You do count the ones that like fantasy too, because if you ask the people that like satire and fantasy, they would say, yeah, I like fantasy or satire. So that answer is 3. How many like satire or fantasy or both? So that is a good reminder to, they like to put or both here on these so that you do count those. But this is like the union. You'd count everything inside the circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many do not like fantasy? Tammy only likes satire, so she would count in there. But then also do not forget these 3 out here. So it would be Tammy, Omar, Keisha, Dale, okay? So make sure you get those ones on the outside. Don't forget those as you're doing them as well. If you go to 3 Venn diagrams, come on. 3 Venn diagrams, you can, it gets a little more crazy, but it is still kind of the same idea. You got different train stations here, orange, green, blue. So like Graz, whatever, goes on all 3. Erie and Bern. Are these towns or something? Why they gotta pick hard names to talk about? Erie and Bern like green and blue, okay? So you can look at these and do some of them only like 2, some of them, the ones in the middle like all 3, and then of course like York is only the green line. So select all the trains that do not have stop at Volos. Volos would be orange and blue is right here, so it'd only be the green. The green one's the only one that stops there. How many stations are only along the blue line? So only, the word only signifies that you are only looking at the blue ones right here. It would not go to the green or the orange or both. So it'd be Zama, Kent, and Lati. Okay, so it'd be 3. And which stations are along neither the orange nor the green nor the blue? That would be all the ones on the outside. Okay, it'd be all 4 of those right there. Okay, so just take your time reading these. Some of the words and going back and forth, like when you're looking at those words, they do get a little confusing on those, but it shouldn't be too bad on the beginning there, just reading them. Cardinalities, so we learned that word last time. The cardinalities is the count of how many. So instead of putting the actual names there, like there's 41 people here that like jazz and 103 that like both, 33, so we don't want to write 100 names in there, so they just count them, okay? So how many of the freshmen like rap music? This would be everything inside the rap circle, so you would do 33 plus 103, so that would be 136. How many of the freshmen like jazz or rap or both? Okay, that is going to be everything inside the circle. So the people who like jazz are 41. The people who like rap are 33. The people who like both are 103. So you just add all those up and get 177. How many of the freshmen do not like both jazz music and rap music? How many don't like both? So that would be 41. Oh, on my calculator. So 41 like only jazz, so they don't like both. 33 like only rap, so they don't like both. But then you also have to do the 122. They don't like both because they don't like either of them. So that would be 196, okay? So again, there was one other wording of these. Yeah, those are all basically the same. Okay, maybe it's a different problem I was thinking of. Just be careful with the wording on those. And like just take it step by step and go through those. On this one, you actually have to draw or make a Venn diagram. Sorry, let me find the one I want to start with. This is fine. Okay, So on this one, you just drag and drop these over here. So I just kind of go in order. A is not in any of them. B is not in any of them. C is only in Z. D is only in X. E is only in Z. F is in both of them. G is only in Z. H is in both, and I is only in Z. Okay, so that's not too bad when you have to do that. But when you start to do these, let me find the one I'm looking for here. Of course, they're the ones that's refresh the first time. That will do it. Oh man, I hit the button. Okay, yeah, this one will work. If you have one like this, you start doing it. 1 is in W, 2 is in W. 3 is not in any of them. 4 is not in any of them. 5 is in X. Oh, wait, 5 is in X and W. 6 is not in any of them. 7 is in X and W. 8 is in W. 9 is in W. Okay, so on this one, there were none that were in only X. There's none that are in only X right here. So you actually have to change the circles down here at the bottom because there is nothing here. So what this says is everything that's in X is also in W. So all the blue is also in the red. So I can actually change it to this one right here. And it says that X is all inclusive of W. So everything that's in X is in W. So you do have to change these circles to match up. Anytime you get a blank area, there's nothing in this area right here, you are going to have to change the circle, okay? There's one more that I wanted to show you. Okay, so like this one, 1 is in X, 2 is in X, 3 is in X, 4 is in Z, 5 isn't in any of them, 6 is in X. Oh, I did 5. Well, 7's not in any of them. I grabbed 5. So on this one, there is no intersection. They do not share anything. There is no numbers that are in X and Z, so you would pick the second one. Because there is no intersection, they'd be completely separate. It's a Venn diagram still, but there is no intersection, okay? So kind of just walk through those. I think it's easiest to go in order on those, but you can do it either way that you want. All right, this one, you got to put the numbers in. You got to put the cardinalities in for each of these. There is, for some reason on these problems, I always feel like it's easier to start at the bottom of the list of things that they give you. There is a reason for that mathematically, but I'll kind of walk through that. So I'm going to start at the bottom here. So 241 people did this drug test or trial. Anxiety and drowsiness. So 39 had both. So I'm going to put that in the middle, okay? Now drowsiness, if I just go through this and do this real quick, 66, 182, the problem with this is when I add these up, 182 plus 39 plus 66, I get 287, and there was only 241 participants, okay? So the issue here, and this is why it's nice to start at the bottom, I had 39 that had both, right? And then keep working up. 66 had drowsiness. Well, 66 had drowsiness, but I already have 39 in there. So really what I need to do is 66 minus 39, and I get 27 right here. Oops. So now 39 plus 27 equals the 66 that had drowsiness. So these 39 are included in this 66. And these 39 are included in this 182. So 182 had anxiety. Well, I already have 39 in there. So 182 minus 39 would be 143. So I have 143 that had anxiety. So now I have 182 that had anxiety when I add those two up. So that's why it's nice to start on the bottom. If you can start in the very middle and work out, it makes these problems a lot easier, okay? All right, the last thing is you got to figure out how many didn't have anxiety or drowsiness. There was 241 total. I already have 100. Why does it do that? 241 total. I already have 143 in anxiety, 39 in both, and 27. So I can add all those up and subtract it, or just subtract them like I have it in the calculator. And that leaves me 32 that didn't have anxiety or drowsiness. Okay, so I had to subtract the total number minus all the numbers in the circles. Okay. Sorry, I thought we already did this one. I should have done this one. That's fine. So here, college radio station talking about different music genres. So again, just be careful of the wording. We're just reading it right here. May have to use the calculator a little bit. So how many of the freshmen like classical but don't like rock? Okay, classical but don't like rock. So the classical circle includes all these, 138, 33, 34, 92. But I don't want to include the ones that have rock. So it's just going to be 92 and 34. So that would be 126 if I add those up. How many of the freshmen like neither jazz nor classical? So I do not want to count anything in the jazz circle or anything in the classical circle. So there's 115 that like rock plus another 49. That would be 164. So do not forget to add the ones on the outside. They don't like jazz or classical. So you don't count anything in the jazz or the classical circles. How many of the freshmen like exactly one of the three types of music? Okay. So when it says exactly one or only, you're picking the one that's only in rock, only in jazz, only in classical. So now I got to add all those up. 115 plus 34 plus 103. And I get my answer of 252. Okay. Let me look at another one of these real quick. It's kind of the same one. Yeah, we can do this one real quick. How many of the participants had dizziness? Okay. So I'm going to add up the dizziness. I'm actually going to add up everything in the dizziness circle. I add up all four of these numbers. It does not, I don't care if they had anxiety and nausea too. I want everything in the dizziness circle. So I add all those up. Man, keep hitting the wrong button. And I get 373. How many of the participants had neither dizziness nor nausea? Neither dizziness nor nausea. So I don't want anything in the dizziness or the nausea circle. So it'd be 38 plus, do not forget the 102, 140. And the last one, how many participants had both anxiety and nausea but didn't have dizziness? So anxiety and nausea, well, y'all tell me the answer. How many people, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it. How many of the participants had both anxiety and nausea but didn't have dizziness? She said it very quietly up here. Anxiety and nausea would be just 54, right? You don't want to count the 68. Those had anxiety and nausea, but it said but didn't have dizziness, so it's only the 54. Okay. All right. Constructing 3. This goes back to this. This one I think is actually easier. I mean, it's a little tougher because you got to go with 2, but you don't have to change the circles around on this one. So you just go through each one. A is only in W. B is in W and Y. C is in all 3 of them. D is in Y only. E is in W and X. F is in W and Y. G is only in X. H is only in X and Y. And I is not in any of them. Okay. To me, that one's a little bit easier because you don't have to change the circles around. There will be no, or I shouldn't say that. It doesn't matter if there's a blank empty space. A lot of times there's not. So that one, to me, a little bit easier than the 2. All right. This is probably one of the harder ones. Yeah, this is what I want to start with. Okay. So, own a cat, bird, or fish. Again, there's something weird about these problems. I've always done this ever since I feel like I did these a million years ago. Start at the bottom of the list. It always works better if you start at the bottom of the list. So 123 of the people don't own any of these. So that goes on the outside. 163 own all 3. So 163 goes in the middle. Okay, you want to work from the middle out on these because next, 270 own both a cat and a fish. Okay, well, if I ask these people in the middle right here, cat and a fish would be these right here. Okay. If I ask these people if they own a cat and a fish, they'd say yes, right? Even though they own a bird too, that's fine. So 270 minus 163 would be 107. These two should add up to be 270. Okay. A bird and a fish, same thing, is 255, but I already have 163 in there. Okay. I don't really feel like doing the math. So 263 minus the 255 minus the 163 that are already in there leaves me with 92 right here. Okay, so you see how you got to work from the middle out because you're going to have to subtract them. And then 205 own a cat and a bird. Well, there's already 163 in there, so 205 minus 163. There's 42 right there. Okay. All right, keep going up. 322 of the people own a bird. Well, that means everything inside this blue circle should add up to be 322. So I do 322. Oops. 322 minus 42 minus 163 minus 92. And I get 25 only own a bird. So that all three of these numbers are going to add up to be 322. 375 own a cat. Same thing. Everything inside this red circle right here, the cat circle, should add up to be 375. So if I come over to the calculator and I get 375 minus 42 minus 163 minus 107, then this has to be 63. Now everything inside the red circle adds up to be 375. And then the very last number, we have all the other numbers besides 1. We know 699 people were surveyed, so we can just subtract every number from here that is already listed, and that will give us the one we are missing. Not a bad idea just because you do this problem to double check this and make sure that all 7 of these numbers, 8 of these numbers add up to be 699. I forgot to answer the question on the last one, but how many of the people own a cat but own neither a bird nor a fish? So they only own a cat? That would be 63. Usually the question gives you a hint of how to figure this out, fill this out, but just be careful. You want to start in the middle, okay? There is a variation, though, here, that when you start at the bottom, it's fine to start at the bottom. It'll still work, but it doesn't give you that middle number. So 512 of the students drink at least one type. That means 512. That means everything in the circle is going to add up to be 512. So I can take the total number surveyed, 619, minus 512. That's everything in the circle. So there's 107 outside the circles. Okay. I'm going to keep working up from the bottom. 33 of the students drink coffee, but don't drink milk or soda. So that would be this number right here. 91 drink milk, but not coffee or soda. 31 drink soda, but not milk nor coffee. Okay, so those are my onlys. So now 113 drink both milk and coffee, but don't drink soda. So milk and coffee, but not soda. This is milk and coffee, but this is soda, so I'm only going to be this number right here. If I know 113 should go... Oh, wait, that should be 113. I don't have to do anything. You just got to figure out which one goes there. 113 drink milk and coffee, but not soda. Yeah, so that just goes there. 48 of the students drink milk and soda, but don't drink coffee. Milk and soda, but not coffee. So that would be this one right here. Okay. For some reason, like I said, it's just always easier to work from the bottom up on these. 386 of the students drink milk. Well, that's everybody that drinks milk, so I'm going to do 386 minus 91 minus 48 minus 113. Okay, so I subtract all of these, and this is going to give me that middle number. Finally, that's 134. Have I done everything? Oh, I'm missing one number now, so again, you can just take the total number, 619, minus each of these numbers. The shortcut here is to do 386 for all the milk, and then you got the coffee, the soda, and the ones on the outside. So that leaves me with 62 right here, okay? So again, for some weird reason, it's always just easier on these problems. Always, I don't know why, the way they've always been written for 25 years now that I know of, is to start on the bottom and work up, and it fills out a little bit easier. All right, shading. Shading can be the trickiest on these, especially because I know y'all don't want to write down stuff and draw stuff out. That's one of the reasons I'm just doing it on the iPad today, that working the problems. So this one's not hard. This just goes to the basics. So the shade D naught would be everything not in D, right? A union D is anything that is in A or D. So it's everything inside the circles when you do union. The intersection is the only other one that's on this topic, and the intersection is what they share. What does A and D share? That would only be the middle one, okay? That first shading's not bad. Get into this one, it gets a little more tricky. Well, that one's not tricky. So like this one right here, the way that I would do this, because if I was a student, I probably wouldn't want to draw out the picture either, is I would take it step by step, do order of operations. Inside the parentheses, B intersects C would just be what they share. That would be that right there. That's what's inside the parentheses, the B intersects C. But then I want the not of that. Y'all see the little apostrophe right there? I want the not of that. So now I can like visually see that I want everything besides that. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to clear it. And I do everything besides that. So this is the way that I would probably do it if I was just doing these problems, is take it step by step. So like this one, B intersect D naught, okay? So you may just go through, okay, B looks like this. That's kind of obvious. That's not bad. We probably don't need to draw that one out. D naught, though, is everything outside of D. So what does this share with B? It would only be this area right here, so I'm going to delete that area, okay? So it's kind of nice just to do one step on there, and then you can think about the other step. If you need to draw them out, you can. Like, for example, this is a good one to draw out. If you're just really struggling with these, this is a good, easy way to do this. Oops, got off on my list here. Wait, let me do this real quick. Okay, so like what I mean by draw it out is like take, and it doesn't take that long to do. Like let's just make this one be C naught. C naught would be everything outside of C. Okay, I don't have to draw it perfectly, but get a good shape here. Okay, so there's C naught, right? And then I could do D naught. D naught would be everything outside of D. If you're really struggling with these or anything, this is the easy way to do it. Just draw a quick sketch here. Okay, so now I can look at these, and I'm looking at my answer is what is C naught or D naught. So I'm going to shade anywhere that is red or blue. Okay, so what is the only spot that I'm not shading? By looking at these two pictures, I'm kind of combining them, bringing them together. If I overlaid one on top of the other, I guess I could probably do that with the iPad if I was fancy enough. Let's see. Copy. Actually, we'll come down here and do it. Play with the iPad for a second. It's not going to let me paste because of this picture. Oh, man. Never mind. Okay. So if I combine these of C and D, combine blue, red, and blue would be purple, right? It would be, so C naught combined with D naught would be everything except the middle. Okay. So you may need to write these out. That may make it easier to do. But you can see as I scroll back up, if I laid the red on top of the blue, the only thing that's not highlighted in either of them is the middle. Okay. So whatever helps you do those, if you need to write them out, draw them out, just try to do it step by step. Okay. This one can be a little bit of a pain. So same thing on this one. This one you're trying to see if they're equal, because sometimes you have two different ones that end up being equal. So B naught would be everything outside of B, and I'm combining that with A or B naught. So if I combine that with A, it would look like this right here. Okay. On this one, it's A naught intersect B. A naught intersect B. Well, B is everything here, so what does this, that's already shaded, share with the shading of B? It would be this, okay? These are obviously not equal. They're actually the complement of each other, because if I had them together, it'd be everything. Do one more real quick. So this one, A union B, would look like this, but then I want the not of that, so I'm going to shade everything besides the middle. On this one, A naught looks like this. B naught would be everything outside. So what do they share? B naught would be everything outside of B, and A naught is this right here. So what do they share? They actually share these stuff on the outside. So these two are actually equal, and the answer would be yes to this one. They are exactly the same when you shade them. This is actually called De Morgan's Law or something like that. You can flip these back and forth like this. If you do the complement of A or not, that would be the same thing as A naught, flip the sign, B naught. You actually, the way I think about it always, or the way I remembered it, is you like flip the sign and then you distribute the apostrophe through and it will be equal. You don't have to know that. That's definitely a further down the road thought in math, but just shade each one. If the shading's the same, then they are equal. We'll go ahead and skip to the 3 shading. A little bit tougher on this one, but again, just take it step by step. A union C would look like this, right? If I combine A or C, anything in A or C would be that, but I want the not of that. So just kind of keep that in your brain. I want it to be this and the outside. So I want it to be this and the outside. So it's everything besides A or C. Just take it step by step. That's the same thing. So this one's C naught. Again, it just kind of helps my brain look at that as I'm thinking about it. C naught intersect B. So what does it share with C naught? Well, this is C naught. So then everything that's in B and C naught, it would just be those right there. So everything that's in B that's not in C would be those right there. Some of you can think about that, but I think it's easier to just do it step by step. All right. And the last couple topics here, it's like the same exact thing I did last class, is using those rules and then writing the sets out like we did, kind of a combination. You just do the visual. If you need to write these out and make them look like we had last week, that's fine. B and C. B intersects C. What do B and C share? All of C is inside of B, so it is P, Q, Y. Okay. What is in C naught? What's not in C? That would be R, X, F, G, H. Okay. And then B union C, but the not. What is not in B or C? If you need to, you could write out, okay, B or C is F, G, H, P, Q, Y. So it's everything besides those. But you can kind of look at it with the picture B or C. Think about your shading. B or C, everything is going to be shaded inside of these. So the not is everything outside. It's just going to be R and X. Okay. So this is why you do the shading, to help you do these tougher problems. Are they all inclusive like that? There's one. All right, C intersect D. C intersect D, there is no intersection. So there's nothing there. What's not in C would be 1, 5, and 6, and 3 and 7, right? I don't think they have to be in order. C union D, what is in C or D, but not what is not in C or D, that would just be 3 and 7. So make sure you use the brackets on these. But that is kind of what we did last week, just looking at the pictures of them. And then the last topic is putting that into a real world situation. We got more trains or something. The green line and the yellow line. Okay, so Y union G would be what trains go in the yellow or the green or both. And then you have to write them out, each one out. That is in green, yellow, or both. It's always harder when it combines like these. What is in green or yellow, but not in green or yellow? So what is not in green or yellow? What is neither, the set of stations in the county along neither the green nor the yellow? I like that one, right? And then I'm just going to click solve to get my answer here. Oh, my solve button's not working. It'd be everything outside the circles, right? Let me refresh just to see if we get the intersection would be yellow and orange. So along both, there was one last class. This would be orange and yellow, not orange and yellow. What is not orange and yellow? I think it's this one. The set of stations in the county not along both of them. Okay? Not along both of them. Oh, I just lost it. Not along both of them. So this one, sorry, I didn't do this one, but this one is just the and. So it's the intersection, Arbor and Dover. And then this one's going to be everything else. Oh, whoops. Hitting the wrong button there. So Arbor and Dover were my ones, so we want everything besides that. Okay. There was one, though, that was hard that I wanted. We haven't, like, mentioned yet. I think it's this one. Okay. A and N. A is anxiety, N is nausea. So part B right there. A and not nausea. Okay. So I think the way they word this one would be this one right here. The set of participants in a drug trial who experience anxiety but not nausea. Okay. They don't use the word and, but that sentence is insinuating that they have anxiety and they don't have nausea. They have anxiety but not nausea, okay? So just be careful on that one. You might be looking for the word and you're not going to see it. So anxiety but not nausea means it is a combination. It's what they share. They share anxiety and they don't share nausea. Okay. All right, that is the